What's up, everybody? I want to tell you about Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's one of the easiest ways to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting Anchor on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. So download Anchor, the app, or go to anchor.fm to get started. And I'm a veteran, so let's hear some more military cadences. What's up, family? Well, you guys are not going to believe this, but the Eagles are no longer undefeated. They lost 32-21 to the Commanders of all people. Like, how did that happen? Yeah, they lost. Sorry, Eagles fans. You guys are no longer undefeated. I personally think that you guys don't have a hard schedule, but what do I know? In political news, Kari Lake lost to Katie Hobbs. A lot of people are celebrating. She went in. I mean, she was a very controversial candidate. She had people were saying Kari Lake lost. Arizona governor seat has flipped blue. Kari Lake would have done to Arizona what DeSantis did to Florida. She was very adamant on she didn't like the John McCain Democrats. It didn't happen for her. I don't know if it was just her. I don't know what made her lose because I don't follow the lady that much, but she lost. So I know a lot of people didn't care for her. So there's that. Let's see what else is going on this crazy world. So there was a shooting at the University of Virginia College. It was the shooter who's finally been caught, Chris Jones. He allegedly killed 3 current players on the football team: Lavelle Davis, Sean Perry, and Devin Chandler. There was talk that the news had knew about it. The University of Virginia has said that they were coming back from a field trip and 3 people were killed and 2 others were wounded. Rest in peace to those guys. Chris Jones has been arrested. They had said the police chief said that he was known as a threat assessment to the team, had been reported by a third party because he had made a comment about owning a gun. So I just don't even understand how or why that had happened if they knew that. It's just, I don't know. Is there really no way to circumvent gun violence? I mean, you can blame it on guns, you can blame it on mental health. It's all sad, all in all. So right now in the elections, it is still 50-49 with the Senate. The Georgia race will not be determined until December. And then the House is 204 Democrats and 214 Republicans. Mike Pence says, I think we'll have better choices in the future than Trump, meaning he's not signing with Trump. Trump is still obviously, going on. Jay Leno, he suffered serious burns in a gasoline fire. He is recovering from burn injuries following a gasoline fire in his to his face in his garage over the weekend. So he's recovering, but I know that he has a lot of cars and collections, and somehow there was a fire, but he did survive it. There was a fire. I just can't resist saying that. Sorry. Attorney calls for criminal investigation after video shows corrections officers beating black man while in custody. Trump's daughter-in-law sends a veiled threat to DeSantis about a presidential bid. Weird. Not gonna read that. Airlines forced to pay more than $600 million in refunds to passengers. I am one of those passengers because yes, you guys did lose my luggage, but you did reimburse me. I'm just waiting on my other check. Cop drug dealer conspired to run underage sex ring. So this is in Kansas City, close to me. A retired detective in Kansas City drug kingpin charged with conspiring to run an underage sex trafficking operation. A veteran homicide detective in Kansas City, Kansas, conspired with a local drug kingpin to help run a sex trafficking operation involving underage girls. Prosecutors allege in an explosive indictment until Monday, Roger Golubsky, a retired 35-year veteran of Kansas City, Kansas, the police department allegedly used his position to shield the operation from law enforcement investigation. According to a 3-count indictment filed in the U.S. District Court in Topeka, Golubsky entered a plea of not guilty, and his attorney, Chris Joseph. Roger maintains his innocence and looks forward to clearing his name from these decades-old uncorroborated allegations. His attorney said to CNN, the sex trafficking operation, which was run out of an apartment complex in the 90s by a local crack dealer named Cecil Brooks and 2 other men, victimized girls as young as 13, according to prosecutors. In exchange for his protection, Golubsky collected cash from Brooks and was allowed to choose girls to provide him sexual services, the indictment alleges. Golubsky, who retired from the police department in 2010, was charged in September with sexually assaulting a woman and a teenage girl 2 decades ago while acting under the color of law, meaning he used his position to commit those crimes. He has pleaded not guilty to those charges as well. As he awaited trial under home confinement in that case, prosecutors unveiled a second indictment on Monday, charging him with conspiracy against rights and 2 counts of involuntary servitude in connection with the alleged sex trafficking ring. Both cases stem from years-long grand jury probe. According to Monday, Brooks recruited young girls who were runaways or came from broken homes and kept them locked in a room in an apartment complex where him and co-defendant Lamarcus Roberson and Richard Bone Robinson used threats and physical beatings to force them to engage in sex acts. The indictment refers to 2 unidentified victims who alleged they were held captive and forced into sex. One of the victims told authorities she was just 16 when Golubsky pulled her hair, choked her, and raped her. It was not immediately clear whether Golubsky's co-defendants appeared in court, and if so, how they pleaded to these charges. None were immediately available for comment. Golubsky first came under scrutiny in 2016 for his work in a double murder conviction of a man named Lamonte McIntyre. McIntyre, who has served 20 years in prison, was freed in 2017 when the district attorney for Wyandotte County, which includes Kansas City, Kansas, concluded he no longer had faith in the conviction and asked the judge to dismiss his case. Following his release, McIntyre and his mother filed a suit in the federal court, taking particular aim. The suit accused him of using his badge to terrorize the black community for decades. It alleged a wide array of crimes and misconduct, including sexually preying upon vulnerable black women and having illicit association with Brooks, who allegedly paid Golubsky for information and protection. The case settled over $12 million, but neither Golubsky nor the defendants, which included fellow officers, acknowledged any wrongdoing. The allegations centered around Golubsky garnered national attention last year from Jay-Z, and the Post calling alleged corruption in Kansas City one of the worst examples of power in U.S. history. So, I mean, they have had this case against them, and I'm just wondering, will they consider throwing out his other cases? Judge dismissed Michael Cohen's retaliation lawsuit against Trump. I guess he had one. U.S. claims Biden's ski meeting yielded 2 important outcomes. The G20 is going on, so we'll see what comes out of that. Let's see what else is going on. There's so many things that is obviously I'm picking and choosing. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing exciting, guys, that I want to really relive or talk about. Let's go ahead and get into my cuckoo cow TikTok stories. They're always great, right? Let's start.
Up in a very religious household. Basically, my biggest fear was the book of Revelations. According to my grandma, one day Jesus would come back and all the good people would go to heaven, like the babies, the dogs, the Christians, and all the bad people would be left on this earth to die. Anarchy. Earth would literally turn into hell. So you can imagine, for me as a 7, 10-year-old, I was freaked out by the book of Revelations and I was so scared because every time I wouldn't do the dishes, my grandma would be like, I might just not be here tomorrow. Jesus is coming back and you'll stay. So anyways, I thought that I was done with that fear because I moved to America by the time I was 12, 13, 14 really at the time. My mom was not that religious and that was just not a fear that was constantly, being brought up to me. So one day that fear came back because let me tell you, basically at the time I was 14 and I was a full-time mom because my mom had just opened up our small business and I was taking care of my sister full-time. She was 6 months. This baby could not talk, could not walk, could not even pull herself up. Okay, so my mom would come home at like 2 a.m. most nights and I would be taking care of my sister. So I would leave her in the crib like any other 14-year-old taking care of a baby, not knowing what to do. Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not a mother. I am a kid. And I'm just listening to music, listening to The Weeknd. I only got you by, the song. And, FaceTiming my friends, whatever, checking up on her, giving her the look every 20 minutes or so. Until one time I looked, cannot believe my eyes. My sister is not in the crib. And I knew it was something weird because let me tell you, it could not be a blur door or something. Nobody would take this kid. Like, I mean, we lived in the projects at the time, so let's be honest here. We have no real some money for this baby. Be for real. So, basically I start to freak out. I look under the bed, I go in the tub, I go everywhere until I decide to take the phone line because like our phone that was in for the whole household because we didn't have any money to pay for data on our phone. Anyways, so I take the phone. No service. I'm like, okay, well, it's happening. Jesus came back and I'm left on this earth. So I get on the floor and I start to cry. Please, Jesus, take me. Don't forget me. Give me a second chance. I start to cry my eyes. I'm traumatized. I'm traumatized by this moment. I really thought that this was happening until finally my mom gets out of the closet, my baby sister laughing at me. And she wanted to teach me a lesson. I'll never forgive her. I'll never forgive her.
So, although this is funny, this leads back to what I was saying about that friend of the family, where religion is, you can use religion to scare kids so much into believing and doing anything. It's kind of a dangerous game to play with your kids. Just make sure you're using religion responsibly. You don't want them thinking they're part alien and that they should have a baby with a grown man. Just FYI, in the case of Jan Broberg. Let's go to the next one.
What's one of the saddest moments you've had at work?
Well, every now and again, I got to give you some real game. A lot of times I like to make you laugh, but sometimes I got to tell you the truth because a part of my channel is humanizing the badge. So let's get right into it. Years ago, I responded to a domestic violence call. It was a young man, older teenager, probably about 16, 17-ish. He's giving his grandmother a very hard time. And I'll say this as a disclaimer. I have to be very vague about what I say because I don't put people's business in the street. All right, so I digress. Got there to the scene, met Granny. Granny told me all the issues that were going on. I don't know what happened with this young man's parents. I can't remember. But he was being raised by his grandmother. He was giving her a very hard time. Our first meeting, first encounter, he decided he wanted to try me. And that didn't turn out too good for him. Didn't charge him with assault on a police officer. I think he learned his lesson. But I decided to mentor him. And I saw a need there. And my partner and I, we would go by and we would mentor him, talk to him, check on how he's doing at school, what's his grades like. He seemed to be turning himself around, turning his life around. Well, one day, fast forward, I see him out with a group of young men. And I pull him to the side. I say, hey, man, come here. I said, I don't like this group here. Something's up with them, especially this one particular young man. Something's up with him. And he assured us, no, man, they're good. These are my peeps. I had known them since I was yay high. I said, okay, but be careful. All right, fast forward even more. Months later, I get a shots fired call. And somebody had possibly been unalived. It was late in the evening. So it was really, really dark on this particular street, even darker in the courtyard, right? It was eerily quiet. I was the first one on the scene. I hopped out, and I was the first one for a while. I could hear the other units coming, but I was the first one there, and I was the only one there for a moment. And I'm looking, and I finally see something or someone in the courtyard, in the middle of the courtyard, laying on their back. I scanned up with my flashlight when I got to them, from the feet all the way up to the face. When I got to the face, I realized who it was. It was the young man I had been mentoring. Heartbreaking. First thing I thought about was all of his potential wasted. Senseless violence. Just, he's gone. You can look at him and tell he was unalived. I won't get into detail, but you can tell. Thought about how his grandmother was going to take it. And, when I think about it, when we finally caught the dude who did it, it was that same guy I warned him about. And the reason he did it was just plain senseless. I won't go into detail. So understand that we are human, and we do take some of these things with us. So keep us in your prayers. I'm B. Boat. Been briefed.
Yeah, that's why I can never be a cop. I wouldn't be able to follow those rules, especially when you need evidence to charge somebody that you know is a criminal. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night just knowing that they could get away. I'd be the way my OCD is set up, couldn't do it. Let's go to the next one.
Categorize. They can't control me. You get what I'm saying? They can control Shaq. They can control Charles Barkley. They can control LeBron James. They can control Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Not you, man.
But they can't control me. You see, it ain't no name I won't name. It's up.
Not you.
You know what I'm saying? And just for Minister Farrakhan, I love you, but the way you read that, I took that as a slight. You know what I'm saying? I'm taking no disrespect from nobody. So let's get on the phone. Let's talk that out. I don't care who you are. I ain't taking no slights from nobody. Right? I ain't taking no slights from nobody. It's God. That's the only person that I serve. My mom ain't here. My mama was sacrificed.
Me too.
You understand?
Appreciate
Michael Jordan. What about him? His dad, right? Bill Cosby, his son, right? Dr. Dre, his son. You know, out in Hollywood, a lot of people come up missing. Feels like it might be a lot of that in order to control, traumatize. They want to monetize and traumatize. And God loved me. You understand? They hit me. Gap, Adidas, all that away. Still, Forbes, who hate me, right? Had to write net worth 400 million. Jesus is king. God loved me.
That's more important than thinking of life.
That's the thing. You know what I'm saying? And this truth is going to be heard. I can't send none of y'all Meek Mills, y'all Puffies, y'all Lil Boozy, none of these names, none of these people that have to listen to y'all because they have legal. I never killed nobody, right? I'm the pussy that never killed nobody, right? But that means I can say whatever I want.
So, Kanye said he was going to be quiet, but he's clearly still talking. But listen, I am just a regular commoner. I will never sit here and tell you I don't know what happens in Hollywood, because I don't. And they're weird. They're weird. It's too many people that say the Illuminati joke. It's numerous. So I'm going to get this from the Encyclopedia Britannica. It's actually still a website. Blood offering. So basic to both animal and human sacrifice is the recognition of blood as the sacred life force in a man and beast. Through the sacrifice, through the return of the sacred life revealed in the victim, the God lives, and therefore man and nature live. The great potency of the blood has been utilized through sacrifice for a number of purposes: fertility, purification, blah, 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 blah. So, we all know that that's why they were sacrificed back in the day. The divine offerings, every church has had these sacrifices. And, the fact that the Illuminati is now, saying that, that Kanye saying that his mom was sacrificed to the Illuminati. I don't know. It's not shocking. I'm not trying to come too far-fetched with this stuff, but it's just weird. I mean, it says if you want to become a member of the Illuminati Society and gain access to secret knowledge and power, join now and receive gifts. There's actually a website called joinilluminati.com. Creepy, but it is. Don't join it because we never may hear from you again. A lot of people think that Travis Scott had his satanic festival of blood sacrifice. Princess Di. The Lady Gaga. Kanye West, Jay-Z. There's just so many people that, Freemason Dwayne Wade sacrificing son for wealth, and Larry Johnson, who used to be a former NFL player in the Chiefs, said that. It's crazy, y'all. I don't know. There's a rapper who tried to sacrifice his friend to the Illuminati. This is on allhiphop.com back in July 2013. He was trying to offer him as a blood sacrifice. And this is back in 2013. So this stuff has been around. It's been around way longer than that. I think back one of the blues singers sold their soul to the devil. The guy that sung the devil in the blue suede shoes. It's just weird, man. The guy did 8 years in prison, FYI. But I don't know. Like I said, Kanye, he's out there, but we're not rich enough to know what really happens. We haven't been recruited. Let's go to the next one.
Toxic families survive on narratives of strength and weakness, but it's all bullshit. Meaning that the cycle breaker, the truth teller, the boundary setter, or the family fuck up is usually seen as fragile, selfish, and self-serving. But the real strength, and I really want you to take this in, is that wanting a healthier life is a flex when the toxic family just tends to cope in misery. Processing your childhood trauma and going towards it and being brave enough to do that is a flex when the toxic family just tends to put all of its energy into repressing everything that happened to them, which just deadens a human being. And lastly, being honest about ourselves, about our behaviors, and being honest about what happened to us is a total flex when the toxic family just tends to cultivate this emotional laziness that they stew in. So I really want you to think about who's really fragile, who's really the mess.
So with holiday season coming up, a lot of us feel pressure to spend time with our families. And let's face it, a lot of us come from toxic families. Shout out to all you that have the most amazing families ever. I happen to love my family, but they are on the toxic side. And there has been times where I have separated myself from them just to have peace. And I could tell you, although I missed our jokes and times together, I actually enjoy the peace much better because I can just focus on myself and my own family. And and he's right, your healing and your peace of mind should always outweigh the rest. I know that we've been raised, look out for your family, blah 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 blah, but I will always say this: we came in this world by ourselves and we're going to leave by ourselves. And, enjoy your life while it is so short. And if we spend our whole entire life trying to fix people, fix families, how are we contributing to ourselves? I love my family to the utmost, but sometimes I even have to step away from my own sanity. So if you're like me this holiday season, I'm going to have a very small Thanksgiving with just my immediate family, meaning the people that live in my house. And I'm going to eat and be happy and merry, and I'm going to be okay because it is just another day. And I pray for those that I don't speak to, and wish them well. But it's just peaceful. I love living on the side of peace. I love it. I love it here. So yeah, don't feel pressure, break those chains that they have on you. They're invisible and they really don't exist. They're really mental. So I definitely agree with him. Let's get into our last video of the day.
All the time. And people ask me, do you date black men? Last black man I talked to was this dude named Rodney, and it was the last hope for you motherfuckers.
Damn, right.
The last fucking hope. His name was Rodney, and let me tell you something. There was a time, baby, I had my hair like Malcolm X. I remember a dude told me one time, you gotta stop wearing your hair like that. You too fine because, you know, I love Malcolm X, but I don't want to fuck him. So it made me change my hair. That's cool. I still love Malcolm X, and I still got my painting and all that made of him. So that's my dedication, not my hair. But do you get what I'm saying? I went hard in the paint for black. I love black men. I used to be like, the only thing for a black man is a black woman, whoop, 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 and all this shit.
And what did Rodney do?
And I used to go hard in the paint for black men. I used to be like, I know I'm going to get me a fine black man. I just know it, right?
Mm-hmm. Along comes Rodney.
Rodney. All dudes. I can name all the dudes up to Rodney. I was like, okay, I'm going to give it another chance. Oh, no, I'm going to give it another chance. And I remember driving into the fucking parking lot of fucking Comedy Store. And my homeboy had some fucking tickets over to the House of Blues when the House of Blues was there. And we went across there to there was a concert or something going on. We got drinks and shit. And there was a fucking bodyguard there, and his name was Rodney. Motherfucker, tall black Cadillac. That motherfucker was beautiful. I was like, Lord Jesus, and he smelled like brownies. I love brownies. Brownies smell good when it comes fresh out the oven. You know what I'm saying? I had that
nigga smell like dessert. Ready to eat?
This nigga smelled like dessert. I loved him. Little did he know that he smelled like dessert because he had so many fucking kids. But I digress.
Okay, so she goes on to say Rodney broke her heart. I don't think, listen, and I dated all kind of races. My husband happens to be Mexican, but I don't think that there is a such thing. You have to get what works for you, and every shade of race has its issues. Everyone. I don't think I'd swear off a race off of my life experiences, but I understand where she's coming from. You know, you touch the stove and it's hot, you get burned. Sometimes you don't want to go back. And that truly is the safe route. I wouldn't let it deter me from finding love, though, because guess what? Love is vulnerability, and it does hurt. And you might get hurt, but she might be missing out on love if she's just swearing off just like I wouldn't swear off any race, so I wouldn't recommend. So that is my 2 cents today. I hope you guys are going to have an awesome night tonight. It is snowing where I am. I am bundled up, and I love winter, actually. I'm not going to lie. I love when the bugs die. It's cold and wet, but it's kind of pretty. I don't know. All right, FSR Family is signing off. You guys have an amazing night. Toodles.